Hello again, everyone. Skyjin here. Just going to do a little quick tutorial on Botany. And specifically, Botany is what I'm going to be using, but you can apply most of what you learn here to the other ones, fishing and mining. Keep in mind, fishing is just a little different than the other two because you can actually sit in one fishing spot and just sit there all day, but whereas with the other ones, you got to do a little bit more running around. I do want to go over it real quick, though, because it seems to me that there is a good bit of confusion around the subject of the disciple land jobs. A lot of people I've heard that they think it's boring and slow. I guess it is slower than leveling a battle class. I mean, you get in a party in a battle class and you can actually level ridiculously fast. So, and of course, there's power leveling, which none of this can be applied to the disciple of land jobs. But it's actually a lot faster than it was, and I quite enjoy it. I mean, you're making money and EXP at the same time, so there's really not to be complaining about there. But you know, there's a lot of people don't know that there's patterns to what you're doing in in botany and in mining and things that make the whole experience just a lot easier to deal with. First of all, I'm in a grade 4 area right now. And I'm actually, you know, obviously I could be doing grade 5s at level 42, but this was closer. I just want to, you know, do this real quick. Obviously, when you get close enough to a tree that's sparkling, you know, the very basics of the basics, I mean, that's what you're looking for. You're going to have a list of, as you can see, my action bar has a bunch of little different abilities on it. All these do is find the different trees. Now, see, I just hit 5, which was my grade 3 scanning ability. What that does is going to tell me if there are any grade 3 trees within like 500 yalms of me or so. I'm in a grade 4 area, so obviously didn't find anything. So I'm going to hit 6, which is the grade 4, and obviously it's going to sense this one right in front of my face. So, and this is your basic harvesting. So what you want to do is you can either just target it and hit enter, which is what I like to do. You can actually go into your little menu and select harvest. Once you're on the tree, you're going to move this up and down to find a spot where you want to log. Now, this is what people are referring to when they talk about the sweet spot. For instance, if you go to disciplesofland.com, landandhand.com, I'll have that link in the video description. If you go to that web page, they have a lot of great information on where you can get various you know, various materials, or you know where grade 3 is in this zone, or where grade 4 is in that zone, and that sort of information. A lot of cool interactive maps that way. I use it a lot when starting out, but basically it's going to refer to things like, okay, you know, logs are +3. That means that when you start this logging experience, the cursor is going to start right, you know, right here in the middle. So a +3 would be 1, 2, 3 spots above the center. You know, if it says sweet spot 0, that just means the sweet spot is right where it is. The sweet spot is referring to the spot where you're most likely to get the material you're looking for. So in this case, you know, there's U logs, there's U branches, and there's I believe acorns here. And so if you want something specific, say you want just the logs, you want just the branches, you want just the acorns. I don't know why you just want the acorns, but each of those things has a sweet spot. I haven't been to this spot in a long time, so I'm not entirely positive, but I do believe U is +3 sweet spot. So we're going to start here, the U logs. So we're going to start here and just see where it takes us. Now, like I said, I actually went to a spot I haven't done in a really long time, so I don't remember where the things are. And that's actually on purpose, because what I want to do is I want to show you how easy it is to learn where things are. Now, this little mini game here, once I've clicked where I want to be, the game has already decided which item it is that I can get. It's already decided that I'm either getting a U-log, or I'm getting acorns, or I'm getting, you know, the branches, or whatever. Whatever it is I'm getting, it's already decided that. You can tell that information here from this remainder bar. So I can't right now because I'm too high level. In mining, it's even easier, because this remainder bar is going to fluctuate greatly depending on what item it is. So if it's a, you know, very difficult item, you'll see the remainder bar really low, and if it's a really cheesy little item, you'll see the remainder bar really high. And at that point, you'll already know exactly what item it is. And once you know what item it is, it's easy to tell where to chop on the block. But since we don't know anything about this area, we're just gonna have to wing it. And what I like to do is I like to start off right in the middle here, just get a baseline. Okay, so I felt nothing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go down to about 25%. And is it going to tell me, okay, that's exactly where it was. So wildfowl flowers are the other things. Acorns must be in a different area. I must have been mistaken about that. But anyway, as you can see, right down here, after I got the acorn, it says you sense wildfowl flowers below where you are logging. That's, again, referring to this. So it's all I know for sure is that the wildfowl feather sweet spot is somewhere down here. But I don't really want wildfowl flowers, so we're not going to worry about that so much. We're going to go back in here. And now we know that if it's wildfowl, see the remainder bar went down? That we know it's not wildfowl feathers now. The remainder bar for wildfowl feathers was way up here. So we know that's probably not going to be down here unless something else shares the same spot with it. Now, I am going to go to the middle again and see what we get. I do like to do the middle because if I go to the middle, I can then go down here, for example. And then if it tells me I'm closer to the mark, that means that, it is somewhere down here in this area. It's not like up here that I'm looking for something. And that the middle allows me to see that more clearly, because if it said I was further away from the mark, I would know that what I'm looking for is in the top half, not the bottom half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check just past this mark here, way down here, and see if it wants to give me anything. Nope. So basically it was between the middle and the other one. And it was. And its branches. Okay, so as I recall, the branches and the logs were generally in the same spot. So basically what that's telling me is that like somewhere between, I don't know, somewhere between the halfway point and here is where most of the stuff's going to be. That's pretty simple. And again, the remainder bar is not higher, so it's probably not wildfowl feathers. So we're going to try and go just a little bit past the center mark, and we're just going to keep doing this until the tree gets done, because the same items will always be in the same exact location on your chop block every time, every tree in the same area. So now I know that this grade 4 area has the exact same placement for U branches, U logs, and wildfowl feathers throughout the entire thing. Now I know I haven't actually gotten any U logs, but I do seem to recall that U logs were in the exact same place as the U branches. And the remainder was a little bit higher this time, so this is probably wildfowl feathers. Oh, nope, U-log, my mistake. But anyway, it's a little bit easier mining to be able to know exactly what item you're getting, because the remainder seems to fluctuate a lot more. In harvesting, they all seem to be relatively the same, so you're not going to get that wild fluctuation. However, it's generally not a big deal. At maximum, there's generally 2 places that you can find items. In this particular spot, it's more like there's kind of one place, because they're all kind of clustered together, and I'm high enough level that I don't have to hit right on the spot to get the item. So, I don't have to worry about checking a couple different spots. But in the higher level areas, generally there's at least 2 spots you have to go for. So what you do is you aim for the one that's most likely, and then if that one doesn't work out, then you aim for the other one. So either way, you can get it in 2 or 3 hits, no matter what. So you'll never, once you learn a location, you won't be able to fail harvesting anymore. I mean, you'll literally succeed every single time, because you'll know exactly where it is. I mean, you saw me doing it right there. I mean, I know I'm a little high level for the area, but it doesn't matter, because I knew exactly where the items were. Once I learned that information, I can get it every time. Even if I had to hit the item more than once, I still just hit the same spot again, and boom, there you go, you got the item. Now, as you can see, this tree just was exhausted. That's because nobody's been here in a really long time. So this tree has been sitting here, having no one harvest it for an exceptional amount of time. That's probably because it's behind that aggro and it's too much of a pain in the butt to stealth past it. But let's go ahead and see if there's any more other trees up. Now, keep in mind, if you do want to go to an area early, for instance, if you're like level 20, you're level 20, and you want to go to a grade 4 area, that's perfectly fine. You can do that. You won't have the ability to look up, where trees are and things yet at that level for a grade 4. And you will not be able to harvest the tree very many times. So you want to keep that in mind. I mean, you will get more EXP on a success, but I prefer to just stay in places as long as I possibly can because I'll EXP a little slower, but I'll be getting a lot more items, and then I'll be able to sell those items. Now this here, this is just your, this is a harvest spot. This is the other thing. This is not harvest. This is not logging a tree, but it's harvesting. It uses your offhand weapon to deal with this. You can just walk up to it, target it, and click enter. And if you haven't watched some of my other videos, when I'm doing botany or mining, I do like to have my target filter on friendly. That prevents me from being able to target mobs, which can be a pain if you accidentally rock through a mob or something like that. Not to mention you just don't feel like tabbing through them. But with harvesting, it's sort of pass or fail. You either get stuff or you don't, and there's really nothing. The only thing you can really do is get a better offhand weapon, or increase your intelligence in the case of botany to make this a little bit better. But it's pass or fail. There's no skill involved here. If you fail, the spot stays exactly where it is. If you succeed, it pops up, it moves all around in this little area, and you have to chase it around. And you just do this until it doesn't let you gather from here anymore. At which point you have to gather from a few other places before you can come back here. These spots will never ever disappear. Not like the trees where they become exhausted and then you have to go somewhere else and find them and that sort of thing. These will always stay here, but they'll only let you harvest from them, every so often. Now, which brings me to my next point. You can actually, once you've been here a while, and you've gotten rid of all the trees that are nearly exhausted, which is going to be quite a few of them probably, because most likely nobody's been here harvesting, and as long as nobody's been here harvesting, they've just been sitting there waiting to be exhausted. So you're gonna harvest from the tree once, and it's gonna run out. But once you get to a point where the trees are kind of sitting where they're going to be, you can make yourself a little route. You only need 3 things. Let me bring up my map here. So this is the Humble Hearth area. In this area, you can have spawns here, you can have spawns in here, you can have spawn down here, over here, here, up here, in here, right there, and all along inside this area. So you can have all those spawns up here. Now, in this area, maybe about at any given time, you're going to see about 4 or 5 of those trees lit up at a time. And once you exhaust one tree, another one instantly is going to take its place. You don't know exactly where it's going to be. It usually is somewhere close, but it does not have to be. It can be you exhaust a tree here and another one pops up over here because they're all linked. So usually in my experience, I do tend to pop near. As you may or may not have saw in my log, when I finished harvesting that one and I looked for another one, it said 30 yalms to the east, which means there's probably one right behind me here. And so that actually spawned pretty close. And it didn't say it was nearly exhausted, which means that it just spawned, given that nobody else is here doing this. So with that information, once you get a rhythm, like let's say we know there's a tree here. And we'll say that there was 2 over here. I mean, you could potentially just go back and forth between these 3 because that's all you need. You need to do 3 things total in order to have a cycle. That is either harvesting or logging, either the trees or the bushes. It doesn't make any difference which it is. You could do 3 of the bushes and just do the bushes in harvest all day long. That would be a little bit more of a pain because they're a little bit more spread out. There's a harvest point here, up here, and over here. So, and you can see all this stuff on the webpage I'm linking in my description. Like I said, they have the maps that tell you where the harvest points are and stuff like that. I just happen to remember where they are from here. So if you just wanted to harvest, you would have to choco over here, harvest, then over here, harvest, then over here, harvest. Then you'd have to choco all the way back here and start again. I don't recommend that. I mean, even if what you want is stuff from harvesting, I still think you should at least have 1 logging point. If no other reason, then the harvest points are a little spread out. But I like to mix it up. Personally, I like to do 2 trees and a harvest point. I think that gives me the best overall results, money, experience, that sort of thing. So generally, there'll be at least 1 tree somewhere in this vicinity plus a harvest point. So that makes that easy. You grab that tree and that harvest point, and I already know that there's 1 here, so there's a tree here. So my route might be do this tree here, then go over here and harvest, then grab this tree, and then go back to this tree, and repeat until one of the trees disappears on me, and then find out where that tree went and see if it's close enough and try and make that route again. If this gets to the point where there's only like 1 tree in the area or something like that, I'll go check down here and see, you know, are there multiple trees? Maybe there's a tree here and a tree here that I can log from, and then there's a harvest point right there, so I'll just make that my little strip. And it's real short and sweet, and you can just go in a little circle, and you'll get lots and lots of items and experience pretty quick. But I mean, botany and things like that, it's really not that complicated. As you can see, I was getting really junky EXP here, but I'm about at least 4 levels higher than what this place calls for, but in reality, I'm more like 10 levels higher than what this place calls for. I should definitely be in grade 5, you know, mining areas, harvesting areas, things like that. I do want to go over a couple quick things. All I really use are the arbor calls, which are these abilities down here that tell me where trees are. And occasionally, you know, the stealth abilities, which, if you look over here, is right there. Now, the stealth abilities, I prefer not to have to use them. What I like to do is find areas where there's no aggro in my way to begin with, that I can just walk through it, because I don't like anything that slows me down. But sometimes, you know, you'll be in an area with a lot of aggro, and all the trees will spawn right behind them, and you really don't have much of a choice but to use your stealth abilities and things like that. That's another reason why it can be a little bit more difficult to go to an area early. If there's a lot of aggro in that area, you're not going to have the appropriate stealth learned yet. As you can see, this says it helps me avoid things 50 and below if my class level is 38 or above, which means I learned this at level 38. So if I tried to go to a grade 5 area at 35, I don't have this stealth yet. So all the level 45, 50 aggro mobs that are there, I can't stealth past them. That's just, I don't know. I don't really see the reason why to go to a higher grade and get the EXP quicker. I mean, the only reason I can think of is if what you're harvesting doesn't make you very much money. But I haven't really found much that doesn't sell. I mean, there's obviously varying degrees of proficiency at which they sell or how much money you get for each item, but it really doesn't seem to make much difference. I mean, you spend 10 levels in an area and you're going to have like 20 stacks of logs. Even if all they sell for is like 500 pop, that's still 50. That's still 50K. That's still a mill. You know, I mean, it's really not a big deal. You're not even going to be paying that much attention to it, because you're also going to be dealing with the fact that you're leveling and things like that you're paying attention to. So anyway, I really like this when my friends aren't on or whatever, just to pass the time, make a little money, level something at the same time. Additionally, I am leveling woodworking, so a lot of the times what I end up using the materials from the botany in order to, you know, help my woodworking level for free, essentially. I do prefer to use guild leaves for crafting, but that is probably for another topic. I do want to say this, though. I've never, ever once used a guild leaf to help level botany. That's how freaking easy it is. Crafting, on the other hand, I save all my guild leaves for, because crafting is just a huge pain in the butt. It is so slow. I mean, in the amount of time I can log one tree, I can probably only do 1 synth in crafting. So if I'm getting 200 EXP per logging attempt on a tree, and I can do it 5 times, you know, obviously I've made myself, okay, if I can get 200 EXP per synth, or even 500 EXP per synth, that's still half minimum of what I'm getting a synth per what I'm getting in the logging. Plus harvesting is really, really quick, and that generally gives you 60 to 120 or so EXP per attempt. So anyway, there's really no reason to use mining, or I mean, to guild leaves for your botany or your mining or anything like that. I wouldn't use it on your battle jobs either. At this point in time, you can still use them for guild leaves, but I wouldn't. I would probably save them for just crafting. That's how much of a pain in the butt it is. I mean, obviously, if you're not going to craft, then I wouldn't worry about it too much. But otherwise, save them for crafting, because the battle classes are super easy and disciples of land are almost as easy. So anyway, I just wanted to give this quick tutorial. I mean, I know it's not much, guys, but there did seem to be quite a bit of misinformation going around about it and things like that. And I think it's a lot easier than most people are making it out to be. Because once you learn the spots, it's cake. So anyway, I'm signing out for this week. If anybody has any other questions, I can answer them in the comments later on.